Welcome to 1856 First Church, Pella, Iowa podcast. What a beautiful Tuesday afternoon it is, Breanne, episode 25. I'm glad you're here.
Well, I'm glad you're here too. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It's fall. Last night, right before I went to bed at midnight, I brought all the plants into the garage.
Yeah, they said a freeze warning, didn't they?
There was a freeze warning out there, and my wife was in complete slumberland as I moved what was mostly her plants into the garage.
I'm sure she appreciated it.
I hope so. Anyway, it's supposed to get even freezier tonight.
Ooh, I would like the warm fall weather to hang out for a little bit.
Yep. Well, we're going to have 70s this weekend, so it's all going to be great.
Well, that'll be good because we have our cleanup on Saturday morning.
And I heard, yes, we're going to have a cleanup on Saturday morning. And last week I said there's hardly any leaves down, but they're starting to come down now.
I know they are.
Boy, we've got plenty of work to do. If you're hearing this podcast, we need you on Saturday morning. There's going to be fun stuff to do. We're going to make this church look both spick and span. And it's going to be a great day of service here at the church.
It's always good. And as my husband said on Sunday, you need no skills.
You need no skills. You just show up. Somebody will show you how to use a rake. I have about a 10-second tutorial on how to do something like that. So
excellent.
It's great.
And it's good for the kids too, so they can come too.
And Breanne, I heard a rumor this weekend that not your oldest child, but your second-born child turned 14 years old.
He did. He turned 14. It's kind of hard to believe.
It's hard to believe that you have a 14-year-old child.
Well, I also have an almost 16-year-old.
That's true. Yes, there is a great age disparity at this table because my oldest is going to turn 40 next year.
Yeah.
And so just when I think I'm feeling young, then your children remind you with their ages. And no, we didn't have him when we were 10, as much as I'd like to think that.
My kids like to remind me how old I'll be when our youngest, who is 2 now, will be at the same age they are.
Yeah.
How old I'll be.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to go to Grandparents' Day for your grandparents, for your grandchildren, and first day of kindergarten or whatever.
Big families. What are you going to do?
It's a beautiful thing. Well, we've got a couple other announcements. Last week we talked about how Millie Vandekieft is going to start her 7,000th children's musical this winter.
That's right.
Patty and I went over to see her on Saturday. Man, she looks great. She's raring to go. She's in the starter block for this new musical.
I think that's why she got her hip replacement, right?
I think she did. She's all ready to go. October 23rd. I don't know if she'll be doing jumping jacks yet, but almost. So parents, sign your kids up. Get the little packet that you get so you can hear the musical before it comes in. First rehearsal, October 23rd. Yeah. And then, boy, I am looking so forward to the Missions Fest. We had a great announcement by Bobby and Hope Quayle on Sunday.
We did. It was exciting.
They're finally going to go to England.
Yeah.
Probably in January. So I think they're going to language acquisition school right now.
Oh, okay.
I think they have to learn how to speak in a British accent before they go there.
Yes.
And so they'll be able to communicate well with the people.
Do you think they also have to get funny teeth? The British are also known for their funny teeth.
I've never heard that before, and I don't know if that was nice that you said that.
Well, my mother-in-law is English. So.
Well, I'm 67% British, and I have funny teeth.
Well,
there we go. There we have it. Well, and on Sunday, what a beautiful service that we had. Dr. Scott led preached the sermon. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah.
All about love.
And we can always increase our capacity to love one another. And so, as he described on Sunday, he's that 1 Corinthians 13 tucked in between 2 chapters that talk about spiritual gifts. So it's kind of like an Oreo cookie. I handled the top of it a couple weeks ago. He just handled the nice creamy middle.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take chapter 14. We'll talk a little bit more about spiritual gifts, and we'll wrap up this little triad of sermons there. So that'll be this Sunday, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And the Missions Fest is coming up on the 10th.
That's right.
It'll be a good day.
It will be a good day.
I hope people reserve that day. I mean, if you've got pot roast planned with an uncle, out in Tainter or something, bring the uncle over here. Don't miss the Missions Fest. It is going to be a great day. We got a great speaker coming in, and you're going to really be blessed by it. Well, you know what? My life and my wife's life have been a little bit richer because a couple weeks ago on October 2nd, we went to the airport on a Wednesday night, and we picked up Pastor Samuel from the airport.
We're so
and
happy
there
to have
he
him.
came down that ramp all happy after flying for about 30 hours.
Oh, what a long
and he's been in our house since then and going around to a lot of houses in our church and enjoying the families there. I know the other day he went out to Neil Smith and saw bison and elk. And had a great time, went to the state capitol. I mean, people are just doing things with him, and it's great, great. But without any further ado, will you introduce our guest for today, Breanne?
Yes, we are so happy to have. But Pastor Samuel is here from Uganda. And I'm guessing you don't have bison where you're from.
We have buffaloes.
You have buffalo.
Okay. Tomato, I suppose. They might be very
if
similar.
you look up on buffalo and bison, they are different.
They are different.
They are definitely different. So
water buffalo, maybe?
Buffalo?
Just a buffalo? I don't know. Now I've got to Google this.
Yeah, you need to Google because it has folded horns and it has its own nature, but I think they are not the same.
Okay.
I don't think they're the same. I think they're Ugandan buffalo. It's something different.
They might have a lighter coat than the ones here in Iowa.
What I didn't know that I heard from Pastor Samuel last week, and this may have forced me not to go to Uganda last year, but he said that they have cobra snakes in Uganda.
Yeah,
Of course, and the snakes are very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
If it bites you, you're gone.
Yes, I do not like to go to places where I could be eaten or bitten and go bye-bye.
But snakes don't stay among people. And it has been almost 2 years. I've never seen one.
Really?
Well, 2 years. I'd rather have you say it's been 55 years
Yes.
and you've never seen one.
Once a while, you can see snake in the bush.
Okay.
Yeah, but we rarely see them too.
Yeah, and if you need to go to the bathroom while you're there and you're out by, nowhere, where they tell you to go to the bathroom?
I'm guessing the bush.
In the bush.
How did you know that?
That's why I never went to the bathroom.
Anyway.
Oh, wow. This is all very educational, Samuel.
It is.
So I guess I wanted to ask you, how old are you? He's talking about 50s. You look so young to me.
I'm 49.
You're 49?
Yes.
We could celebrate his 50th. When's your birthday?
1st May.
Oh,
He's not staying that long.
He's not
May
staying
1st.
that long. Yes, but I always thought you look so young. But
Oh,
you've been
thank
doing
you.
this for a while. How
Wow.
long have you been in ministry?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see his T-shirt?
Oh, I didn't.
It says 20 years.
We celebrated our 20th anniversary in ministry in
Okay.
August.
Yeah. And was that always with your Bethel ministry?
Yeah, exactly. Bethel Community Outreach.
Okay. And you started Bethel, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Samuel, I don't know who we were with the other day, but they asked you to tell you how you accepted Christ.
Yes.
And just tell our listeners a little bit. How did you come to know Christ?
I came to know Christ at age 22. As a young person, I was just going the walking with the flow with my fellow teens, and I never wanted to hear anything about God. I thought those guys were very crazy. But somebody tried to preach to me. We nearly fought. Then he changed method and invited me to church, just invitation. They had a party going on at their church, and they invited me. So I came for a party. I never came for fellowship. But then I found these people very lovely and welcoming. And then the following Sunday, I said, I need to go back again. But on that day, the message was a different message. The gentleman preached on the day of judgment and said, where will we be on that great day? I had to choose between hell and heaven. Mm-hmm. And I made a decision. It was on 2nd August, 1997.
Wow.
27 years now, I gave my life to Christ. And that was the turning point of my life. If there's ever been any change, that was the real transformation that happened to me, giving my life to Christ.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was this somebody in your tribe, in your area? Who invited you?
By then I was a school teacher. He was my fellow teacher that invited me to church.
Okay.
That's why I always tell people, invite somebody. You don't know what God may work in that person. You just invite them.
That's a beautiful message, Samuel, and I'm glad that you said that. So here's a guy growing up in Uganda, no interest in God, certainly didn't grow up in a family that was raising him to be a Christian,
Very
And
true.
What did he get? He got an invitation.
Mhm.
Somebody who just said, will you come to church with me?
Yeah.
And I don't think he went to, you thought there was going to be a party.
I came to eat.
Yeah, you came to eat.
My intention was just a party, eating, and just enjoying.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And so I think the power of an invitation,
Yeah.
just saying, hey, we got this thing going on at church. Would you come to it? Maybe it's a Sunday morning thing. Maybe it's something at another time, but come. And I just think, look what God did. He reached into your heart and
Yeah.
he changed it.
Exactly.
And what he's done now you're not just a pastor, you're a pastor of pastors.
And it has been my drive all my life.
Yeah.
How can I also invite others as much as I can?
Yeah. And I saw that firsthand when I was there with you.
Yeah.
An invitation brought you to Christ. You keep giving invitations.
Yep.
And that's what we do in Uganda. That's what we do in Pella.
Wow.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so, Samuel, tell us just a little bit about your family, your wife, and your kids.
That's a long story, Bob. But in short, when time came for me to get married, that was a tug of war for me. But again, in that church, Masaka Christian Center, there was this little girl that came. And I think I had no thoughts about her. And one day we had like a wedding in Africa. When you're wedding, girls beautify themselves to be maids. And my eyes landed on this girl called Stella. And she was so beautiful. But then I said, how can I approach her? That was the tug of war because I hadn't known any relationship, anything of that nature. But I invited her to my office. And I told her, Stella, will you be my wife?
Oh, the first question you asked her to be your wife?
Wow.
She said, no. And she slammed the door and walked away.
That was probably wise of her. Yeah, that's not the best opening line.
I didn't know anything about relationships, you know.
Here in the United States, we call that putting them in the friend zone.
Yeah.
But anyway, after a while, after talking to her sisters, they agreed that I should marry her. But then another challenge was, in Africa, the family of the girl has to go and spy on you. So they went and spied on my home where I was born, and they brought back a report that Samuel is a very poor man and his family is so poor that we cannot give our daughter. So they invited me to their house. They called me and told me, would you find someone else? You cannot take our daughter. And it was really painful to me by that time. But then I said, okay, I just let it go. 2 weeks to the wedding, I went back and pleaded. They said no. I remember calling Stella to one of the guest houses there. I brought a bottle of Coke, knelt down and said, would you marry me? She said, no, you're a poor man. So everything ended there. A week to the wedding, her family came and said, somebody told them, why do you want your sister to be married to a rich man, a Muslim man? Can't you think again? This is a man of God. Today is like this. Do you know how he will be tomorrow? And anyway, they took advice and they accepted. So they invited me back in the week to the wedding. And they said, Samuel, we are sorry. We have now accepted to take Stella as your wife. So I married Stella on March 10, 2007.
Oh, very sweet.
We've been married for 17 years now.
Wow.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Wow,
Great.
that is a great story. And you've
Yeah.
had 5 children?
Yeah, well, but before that, I took on children. Before I got married to Stella, my heart was, how can I make a difference in my own community? So I took on needed children. So, and one of the reasons why Stella was not marrying me was that they told her that I've been with many women because I have many children.
Oh, sure.
And I had to explain to them that these are not my biological children. I took them on to make a difference in their lives. And that was the beginning of Bethel Community Outreach, touching lives, transforming communities.
Yeah.
Today we have 5 biological children and 8 adopted.
Oh.
But these are the current 8, but many kids have gone through my hand over time.
Yeah.
You saw Patrick, a black boy.
Yep.
He went through my hand. I adopted him when he was 8 years.
Yeah.
Now he's 28.
Wow. Wow.
So men have gone through my hand.
Well, I can say this having been there at where Bethel is and where your house is and where that preschool is.
Yeah.
It is a place of grace.
Thank
It
God.
is a place of grace.
That's right. Yeah.
The only place it's not too much grace for is the goat you're probably going to eat at Christmas time. And that probably wouldn't be grace for the goat, but it's all necessary.
When do kids graduate out of your school?
I think should be around age 20, 23, around there. Yes.
And so then they launch into adulthood at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
You know, Samuel, you've been here with me, staying at my house, and we've been together before, so you kind of see a little bit the flow of my day. I got to go and see the flow of your day a little bit when I was over in Uganda. But describe to our listeners a little bit, when you wake up on a typical day, what does your day look like as a pastor in Uganda?
My day is quite busy. I have to wake up around 6 in the morning, and then I have to get to the school to see how the school is running. And then around 10, I have to go to the garden and hustle up because we grow crops to feed the children. And then I have to jump back again. We have lunch, our fellowship. It's an hour of prayer in the afternoon. And then after that, I do some office work. But then we have an evening meeting again. So the day is so busy that I even forget to take lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask, what is the meeting? You said meeting a couple
these
times.
meetings could be leadership trainings, could be discipleship. Yeah, anything's going on at the project.
Okay.
A lot is happening.
And to put things in perspective, the school that Samuel's talking about has about 240 students.
Yes, sir.
You have said no to children. You have not said no to children. You continue to receive children. They receive uniforms.
Yeah.
And they receive an education, and all this is Christ-centered. Christ is in the midst of all that.
And the person hearing us, I started this project out of love. We had no resources, Pastor Bab. We started on a mango tree. And those little buildings you see there, to us, it's like heaven on earth because there was nothing. And I decided, how can I make a difference in the lives of other children? These are very needy children. I just want to thank God for 3 sponsors from First Church that have taken on little kids.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, and my prayer that any friend would come alongside and support. But again, I just want to thank God for the family at First Church. That our though we've been in existence for 20 years, 22 years as a school, but our progress has been slow. But ever since we came into contact with Bab, as if it's like a new leaf, it's like a flower blossoming, we see the future. In just a short time, we've been able to roof our church. We've been able to support local churches in the villages. Recently, pastors received borders through the love of the kids and the family.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful.
That's
Sometimes words cannot express my thanks.
Well, we feel privileged, Samuel, to come alongside you in this way, and we look forward to a relationship that'll last a lot longer. It's beautiful, and I continue to tell people, I say, whatever monies you can give, I mean, it truly makes a difference.
So much.
And we're not here to fundraise, but I do know this, for instance, $300 sponsors a child for a whole year.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. How much does it cost to feed your children, folks, at home?
a lot.
Probably more than that. How much does it cost to clothe them? But $300 is a life changer for these kids out there.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of stories we could tell. We don't have time, but I'm just gonna say this one story that Samuel told the other day. But a child who was crawling around on the ground because he had been born crippled.
He was born crippled. And in African setting, when a child is born like that, is a curse to the family, and even the mother seems even the family can fight you because you gave birth to a curse. So this kid, we picked him when we had gone on a mission in one of the local villages.
Okay.
And so cursed, the child is seen as cursed, the mother is seen as cursed for giving birth, so she was gone, and so there's nobody to take care of this child. So Samuel took him to the school, got him cleaned up, ended up getting enough money for a wheelchair for him to be in. So, and now he's 12 years old?
13 years.
13 years
in
old.
primary 1. In primary 1, and this boy, I don't know whether he had ever taken even a bath. He was so rough. He had a different language, a different approach to life. And then one time he said, "I'm fed up with life. I can even kill myself." So he never loved himself because of what he went through. But it's now a full year we've been with this little boy. You see him smiling. He can crawl, but he loves God.
He loved.
Yeah.
I saw that when I was there, and it was a beautiful, beautiful scene.
Yeah.
This is what happens when we invest in eternity. You know, I talk about this around church. You know, the Bible says, "Don't store up for your treasures in heaven, on earth, where moth and rust destroy, but store up for yourself treasures in heaven."
In heaven.
And so we invest in eternity. So why do we give money away? Well, because lives change.
Exactly.
Samuel's life changed. This little boy's life changed. These kids, Patrick's life changed.
Yeah.
And there's no magic dollar amount, but the fact of the matter is when we invest in places like that, things change, and we're so grateful.
Well, and I'm just so amazed at just how much faith and hope that you have.
It's all faith.
Yeah, it's all faith. Yeah. I mean, when somebody goes, I mean, Pastor Bob talked about that when he came back from his visit with you. I mean, your faith is so strong because that's what you have. And that's all you have.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe you could just share real quick with our listeners how you ended up in Iowa on faith.
It's a long story. We cannot exhaust it today, but I was longing to travel to the United States. First of all, to carry the gospel, because I knew our forefathers left, spiritual forefathers, if I may say, left the West and came to Africa. And I believe that as they poured into Africa, God will still raise maybe missionaries from the other side also to come and revive these lands. That was one precedent. And the other was building useful connections. So I happened to come to the U.S. and I was in Indiana that I got in contact with a pastor from Iowa. And I told him, can you host me in Knoxville? Then he said, we are just 3 members. We don't have an offering. And I told him, I'm not after an offering. I'm after a relationship. So when he invited me to Knoxville, the very day I arrived, he told me we have a Knoxville Ministers Association, something like that. And then he said, can I take you to that meeting? I said, yes. So we went to the meeting. The very day I arrived in Knoxville, and I introduced myself. Then there was this tall man. He walked out of the meeting before it ended, but later he came back and he says, where is Samuel? I feel in my heart to connect with you. So we made an appointment for a cup of coffee. This is Andrew Schmidt.
Yeah.
And he liked my story. And he said, can you come to my church and share your story? That was the beginning. And from Andrew Schmidt at Celebrate, he connected him to Bob.
Yeah.
Now I have a home where to live.
Yeah, I would say it's like the non-traditional way. Usually with missionaries, we're working through an organization.
Right.
But this is so beautiful. We work directly with Samuel.
Isn't it beautiful? I mean, Andrew obviously sensed in his heart that he needed to reach out to this man that was there that he didn't know. And then after a few weeks, Samuel was there. Andrew called me and says, Bob, I have this man named Pastor Samuel Kawalya. He's been with us. I'm wondering if you can have him over at First Church. Yeah. And I said, I asked the question like this. I said, is he good? Like Andrew said, I should have him preach. He said, yeah, he's good. He preached for us. And I thought, well, if he could preach for Andrew, he could preach for us. You came over and preached. And again, we weren't looking to support anybody. We weren't looking for a new relationship. But what happens is when you allow God to surprise you, then God makes a way.
Indeed, he does.
And so, you know, on that first trip, I don't know that we provided much for Samuel, but I think it was the next summer that we raised money for the roof.
Yes.
For the Masaka Christian Center. Got behind that. And I mean, literally, Samuel they laid a slab down. They've got wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, wall 4, no roof.
And we had been doing that for 5 years, one wall at a time.
Yeah.
Trusting God one day it will be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's when I was there, if it would have rained, my lid would have not have gotten wet.
That's good.
And now what has emerged is just a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
Andrew's had people go over there. I think a couple trips of people going over there. Yeah. We've had Bryant and Dom went over. I went over. And we're hoping to send another group over, certainly within the next year.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's good.
So grateful.
So with your ministry over there, I was curious, how are you getting others involved in, you'd mentioned there's teachers. And so what are the different positions, or how do you provide training? Any of those?
I don't know. Can you come again?
what positions do you have at you have teachers?
Yeah.
And do you have other pastors?
And that I have, we a nonprofit in Uganda. We have the board of trustees.
Okay.
Those are involved with the day-to-day running of the organization. At least even when I'm no more, I have hope there are people to carry on. Okay. And then the school has its own administration as well.
Okay.
And even the churches I pastor, like Masaka Christian Center, we have the elders, we have the executive committee. So sometimes my training would be focused on different groups.
Okay.
So that I work in them. Yes.
So I guess another way to say it would be like different jobs you have in your ministry.
Yeah.
So is there other ways that you're bringing people into these jobs so that, when you, Lord willing, you have a long life, that you're training up to fulfill?
Yeah, my desire is to raise others to do what I do because I know...
It's really a beautiful thing. And when I was over there, Breanne and Samuel introduced, the first night I was there, I sat around a table with about 8 pastors.
Yes.
And pastors of the churches. And it was interesting because Samuel was translating for them, but many of the issues that they're dealing with, pastors, we're dealing with too here, in our churches. And so it was just really stimulating to talk back and forth there. I got to meet the staff of the school, the teachers there. Yeah. They had a headmaster at the school that runs the school, and then going around to these other smaller churches. Nothing is like it is here. Okay, so for instance, this is my vocation. I get paid. I get a paycheck, twice a month. And for this, that's not what Samuel's life looks like. Okay,
Very
Samuel
true.
Truly has to live in faith.
Yeah.
And when Samuel says he goes out to his garden, let's just call that a little bit of a farm.
Yeah.
Okay. They're literally growing food, corn for the kids.
Yeah.
So that they can grind that corn. Then you've also got a plot of land that you're growing coffee beans.
Yes.
And other corn. So these things, this isn't like a little hobby so that Samuel can relax. This is actually being used for other things. So love to see the network growing for him.
Yeah.
And then this is another thing, Samuel, you said to me, you want to plant a church in every neighborhood or village.
This is my heartbeat.
Yeah.
My passion is to see, to let people know Christ. So there are many villages that are unchurched. And we desire to go to every village, plant a church, raise a leader, and appoint him to take over that community.
Yeah.
And that's why you've seen we went to different places. Some churches are still in temporary structures. As long as we can have a roof for the meantime, we know when God provides, we shall build at least moderate buildings for them. Yeah.
Yeah. From the tiniest church that I went to, basically with tarps as the walls. The thing about it was all the people that were gathered under that tent, they loved Jesus.
Exactly.
And they praised the Lord.
He's the only hope.
Yeah. And so, it was exuberant in every place. At some places they might have an instrument or a musical instrument that they could
drums.
play, but not a lot. We just sang. And I thought, wow, if I could package up some of the enthusiasm and bring that back to my church, that's just great. So yeah, what an inspiration there.
Thank you.
Samuel, everybody, I always think when I thought of the mission field when I was growing up in church, there were 2 reasons why I never wanted to go on the mission field.
What are they?
Weird food and snakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we already talked about snakes a little bit, but tell us about the food. What if you were sitting down for dinner tonight with your family? What would the food look like?
The common food in my home, if I could say, is called posho. This is the cheapest food that we can, because of we're a big family, you cannot go with fancy stuff. But this is corn flour, white corn flour. We take it to the maize mill to be grounded, and then we get that flour. We mingle it up with hot water. It makes something like a white cake.
Okay.
So we can eat that with beans. But we also have green banana. Now, there are many kinds of banana.
Yeah.
There's plantain, there's yellow banana, but this is green.
Okay.
Now, if you can Google up matoke, M-A-T-O-K-E, matoke.
Okay.
That one, we peel it and then boil it and then mash it. Then we can add beef if we have beef, but we don't eat beef all the time. Beans, common sauce we take. and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, one of the first mornings you were at breakfast, I said, Samuel, did you get breakfast? Because I wasn't there. And he says, yes, Pastor Bob. I took a yellow banana, and I thought, a yellow banana? Did we have a purple one and we have a red one? And you took the yellow one? But over in Uganda, they eat green bananas.
Yeah, we have green.
Interesting.
And they're more like a plantain? Is that?
It's like more like plantain.
Oh,
But this is
okay.
more soft when you boil it.
Okay.
It's very soft.
Okay. Yes. And I did eat some goat when I was there. I just didn't want to eat the goat that was tied to the tree outside.
We plan to slaughter one for Christmas for
yes.
my big family.
Okay. Exciting.
Well, we're going to slaughter a turkey for Thanksgiving, but we're going to let Fairway do that for us.
I don't know.
Very
My husband
interesting.
might go out hunting. We'll see if he gets one this year.
But Samuel, now you've been here, and the other night you were at a family in our church, and they had deer.
Was that Jim and Jesse?
No, well, that was the Kozleriches.
The Kozlerich.
Yeah, you had deer. Remember venison?
Yes, we had venison. Yeah, it was very sweet.
Yep. You had their first
Very
names, right?
delicious.
Yep. Tim and Jesse. Yeah. Deer. You've never had deer, huh?
No, I've never done that.
It's a very lean meat. It's good.
Come
And
on.
their son provided that meal for you by means of his bow and arrow, right?
Yes, but I love his bow. It's so exotic. Exotic is like ours, which are like a wooden, just locally made. No, this is great.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So Samuel, as we wind this down, you're going to be here in the area. I think you return to Uganda on December 2.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be a time you're going to spend a little bit more time in Knoxville, which is common. But we want to make sure that our people know that if you'd like to have Pastor Samuel over to your house, just give me a call. And then also, if you know of a church, and again, when Samuel goes to churches, he's not going there to get support.
No.
You know, some churches have had him preach already, and other churches just to come in and do an interview like this.
Oh, that's
so that
be
people
great.
can be aware. Yeah. I just find it so enriching to be with anybody from another country to learn about them. But Samuel, as we close today, is there anything in particular today that we could pray for your ministry in Masaka?
Well, my first prayer request would be, I desire to see these churches built and roofed. Because when you go to the communities, Muslims, Gaddafi left billions of dollars to propagate Islam in my country. And you find in every village, there is a magnificent mosque. Oh my goodness. My passion is that we also build the churches in the villages. And then the next prayer request, we run a school project. And we always have challenges of paying staff salaries and feeding of children. I wrote in our newsletter that $1 can feed a kid with 2 meals.
Really?
So somebody can be interested in praying for us about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Samuel, I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm going to pray for you in a moment.
Yeah.
When I was there, we'd be driving along in Samuel's car, and I'd see something really nice, a nice building, and I'd say, "What is that?" And then typically, what Samuel would say is that is a building either Muslim or built by another religion that does not hold to the Bible. And I thought, well, we could do better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Because what happens is you build a huge mosque or you build this huge church and it's not a biblical church. Well, people are attracted to it because it seems like they have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, the Lord's blessed us with funds as well. And so I'm hoping that we can get a variety of people to go to Uganda over the next few years, not to do projects. Okay. That's not why we're going. We need to see Uganda. We need to hear Uganda.
Yes.
We need to taste and have our senses, because I guarantee you will leave with not only joy in your heart for people who are so grateful to God for everything they have, but I believe it's appropriate that we have burdens.
Yeah.
And so, and this is why I think God has really enriched our church as well, because as we follow Jesus into mission and do the unexpected that he's asked us to do, he does bless us. Let's just say a prayer. Father, we thank you for Pastor Samuel. We thank you for bringing him here to us. We thank you that you reached in to his heart that was as cold as stone to you, and he changed your heart. Lord, you changed his heart, and now he lives for Jesus. His passion is for Jesus. His passion is to reach out to others for Jesus, and he wants to do that as long as he has breath. So, Lord, I pray that whatever we can be a part of as First Church, that we would take advantage of that and be a part of it. I pray, Lord, that if there's other churches, other people out there listening, that they would accept the privilege, because it's truly a privilege to come alongside of our brother and to help. Because one day, Lord, according to your word, we're going to be in heaven where every tribe, language, and nation is going to be there together. And what a joy it will be to look around that great wedding feast and to be able to see people that we had an opportunity to invest in eternity, and they're there. Thank you, Lord. We give you our brother in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for being with us today, Pastor Samuel. Breanne, you got any last words?
No, we'd love to see the church, though. 9:30 on Sunday mornings.
9:30 on Sunday morning. We'll all be here. It'll be a great day of worship. And God bless you, folks. See you Sunday.